I think it was pretty impressive. I mean, I saw on X the Stripe team posting about this when they announced, the daily moving from monthly to daily in one single jump is, I think, operationally and on the back end, it's not an easy task because again, it's much smaller than Stretch, so they have maybe millions of beneficiaries rather than maybe tens of millions from Stretch. So yeah, it's smaller, but still having this logistically ready to pay on a daily basis in every business day, the dividend is pretty impressive. Will be a unique innovation. It will be the only company globally, so it's a big headline. And I think it's going to be very, very interesting to see over the next months. And if they can succeed in that, it will be a great innovation and forcing other companies to follow or to try to go more similar to them.
Hello, everyone. Here we are again, another week talking about Bitcoin treasury companies and all the things that have been happening in the space. Today, Bitcoin is 78,400, little bit down from the 80K that was in the last 2 weeks. But as we know, all the news showing good for Bitcoin. I think that in few days, price must be up again. Here I am with Immortal. How are you doing?
Hello, guys. How are you?
And on the other side of the world, in Italy, Marco Battistoci. How are you doing, Marco?
Hey guys, thanks again for having me. Yeah, I'm doing great, and we have a lot to discuss today. So let's start.
Yeah, we have a lot to discuss, especially more news that will make hungry the people that are the haters of Michael Saylor and all the treasury companies that, by the way, last week, all the haters were in the English side. This week, there were many haters in the Spanish side. Unfortunately, Marco, you don't speak Spanish. Otherwise, we could have been doing the same that we did last week, but I will do by myself. Don't worry. So the first news that I want to discuss with you guys is Stripe. During the week, especially after the masterclass that Chef Walton did last week with Coffeezilla, they were announcing 3 more days, 2 more days, 1 more day. We were trying to guess what this was going to do. And we were thinking probably they will announce that they will drop the dividend payment to 15 days. But they surprised everyone by announcing that now they will pay daily dividends on SATA, their preferred stock that is paying 13% annually of interest. And due of that news, the price went from 99.30 to 100, allowing them to collect money to buy more Bitcoin. What are your thoughts about this announcement, and what can it happen in the space about what they just have done?
I think it was pretty impressive. I saw on X the Stripe team posting about this great news coming. To be honest, I wasn't expecting something similar to that. And when they announced, the daily, we know that today the market practice is on the monthly side. Strategy wanted to innovate with this bi-monthly, but moving from monthly to daily in one single jump is, I think, operationally and on the back end, it's not an easy task because again, it's much smaller than Stretch, so they have maybe millions of beneficiaries rather than maybe tens of millions from Stretch. So yeah, it's smaller, but still having this logistically ready to pay on a daily basis in every business day, the dividend is pretty impressive. So again, it will be a unique innovation. It will be the only company globally, so it's a big headline, and I think it's going to be very, very interesting to see over the next months if they can be operationally to be everything on the right side, smooth, and if they can succeed in that, it will be a great innovation and forcing other companies to follow or to try to go more similar to them. Otherwise, you look obsolete if you pay on a quarterly basis and a company pay on a daily basis. So I think it's a great innovation in general for corporate finance, and if they can nail it, it's amazing.
They rebrand actually the company as the Daily Dividend Company, and they ring the bell at NASDAQ on Friday. So, and they did all this with a very small team, actually, with people that actually get leverage from AI. Most of the analytics report that you do from how Stripe organize the balance sheet, they're using AI tools to do this. I wouldn't be surprised if all this restructure through the daily dividends was also supported by some kind of AI research. And that shows what new kind of companies emerging on Wall Street. It would be the first one probably. And as you mentioned, Marco, they will make all the other companies look obsolete beside that. On the performance side, the response was immediately. As Fernando said, the price jumped from 99.30 to above par in one day.
Let me share it. I think it's here.
Yeah.
And they start already printing Bitcoin.
Yeah, I think that they bought yesterday, I don't want to be wrong, but 190 or something, around 200 Bitcoin they bought yesterday with this spike. And the other thing that I forgot to add to the point is that they cleared all the debt. Now they are debt free. Besides, their debt was super low compared with even a strategy that has a low debt, but their debt was super low. Now they are debt free. They use the money that we're collecting to pay off the debt. So for all the haters that says that these are Ponzi schemes, blah, 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 wherever, they don't have debt. They don't have to pay. They don't have obligations besides the dividends.
Oh, so they don't pay me back if I put the 100 to par?
No.
I'm
Unfortunately,
losing my money.
as every stock.
How the fuck? This is
if
a fucking Ponzi
if
scheme.
you buy, you have Tesla shares, right?
Yeah.
So Elon is gonna pay you back.
I was expecting
He's gonna-
giving me a Tesla Model
Cybertruck.
S or Cybertruck.
No way.
Come-
Coming
so
to
that's
your
not giving
house,
me back
delivering the
No
the
way.
car.
Holy shit.
No way.
Yeah, I think Fernando. Yeah, you mentioned right. They retired the last tranche of the 10 million of convertible bond that was due from the Semler M&A. So it was in the Semler structure, the convertible bond, and then once they did the merger, they received the converts, and they retired also the last 10 million tranche. So yeah, technically they have zero real debt. They just have the obligation from the perpetual from SATA. So from a pure balance sheet perspective, Strive is even cleaner than Strategy, has less edging, and then I mean we will talk later in the episode, and also why Strategy now is trying to retire their own converts. But yes, I think the idea, and Saylor and the team said from Strategy that they're gonna retire all the convertible bonds, and they just want to have the preferred. So I think Strive on that side is even the first mover, and there's some advantage from a balance sheet perspective, even compared to Strategy. Much smaller size, but from pure technical side is even cleaner. So pretty impressive.
Also, on the good news side is that now how a small company now is maybe putting some kind of pressure on Saylor for innovation.
Of course.
Because now Saylor is going to be thinking every night how he can accomplish this too. Otherwise, you see what happened yesterday. While after the 15, the volume on Stretch drops down. The Stretch price dropped below par, while SATA, with the announcement of the daily dividends, goes on par. So I think it's putting some good kind of pressure on Saylor to keep the innovation going. And I forgot the other point, so let's continue.
No, what I wanted to say is that something that happened yesterday, in the last month, when was the last day from Stretch, of course, we got the biggest amount of volume of that day. We are going to discuss about that now.
And all of that was above par. So it was an incredible, I think it was record day and impressive numbers.
Yes, but the following day, we were expecting to drop on the price of a Stretch and went from 100 to 1939, 1936. I remember because I bought that day some shares of Stretch. And now, yesterday, I think that because of the impact of SATA, they went close to 99. They recovered. At one point, I think that in the pre-market, they were 99.10, something like that. They
Yeah,
recover
Fernando, you're
now
right.
in the
Sharing it,
aftermarket is 99.24.
99.06. Yeah.
Yes. So that's the thing. I think that the good news, what is doing SATA with this new convertible, with the new preferred and the new daily payment structure, is that they are setting like, how do you say, the benchmark for all the other companies. Because this week we saw that Smarter Web Company is trying to launch a preferred stock. Capital V is trying to do the same. MetaPlanet is trying to do the same. So now they set up a benchmark where strategy now, Sailor needs to start thinking more actively or more innovative to catch more money because now they have a competitor. And all the other companies have the same issue now. At the end of the day, this is good for the investors and this is good for Bitcoin because there will be more companies fighting for money, offering better rates, offering better payment conditions. What is going to be more capital flowing through this instrument all around the world. And these companies will going to be able to buy more and more and more and more Bitcoin. So I love that this happened. I love what they did. I commented today one of the posts of Chef Walton. This is something that is a catalyst for hyper-Bitcoinization because they are making faster the Trojan horse inside of Wall Street. And also, it will have an impact on all the other preferred stocks of the market that was a zombie industry in the financial markets. Now, started with Stretch, Sailor revolutionized this market. Now we have another player, and there will be many, many other players in this business in the upcoming months. I think that at the end of the day is good because the competitors or the I don't know how to say competencia.
Competitor.
The competence, the fighting, the good fighting against them, because we all know that all these companies are not competitors or hate like Coca-Cola and Pepsi. They are all the same team. They will bring more and better solutions for people, for retail, for institutional investors that cannot invest straight in Bitcoin. At the end of the day, these are super good news. And of course, hats off to Strive, to Chef Walton, to all the team that they are innovating so much. And one of the things that I put today in Twitter, and I want to see what do you think? It is possible for Strive to become soon in the second company with most Bitcoin holdings?
It's gonna be a rough ride because the way they can scale this, it will require sustainable, slow going up. It's not gonna jump from 1.2 billion to 10 billion in 1 month. So if they can establish this continuous machine accumulating, let's say 200 Bitcoin per day or something like that, which will be impressive already, all this stack of Bitcoin is going to grow up the market cap of Strive. As the market cap of Strive grows up, then the market cap of SATA will go up. So they both have to go together. And it's going to be a slow ground up from how much? 15K?
Yeah, they have 15,000.
15K to 40K. I think it's not going to be easy, but will be slowly but surely.
I want to think what Chuck Motors is thinking about all of that.
Yeah, well, while I'm making plans, all the people are buying Bitcoin.
Yeah, that's the thing. When he is trying to sell to the people, to the world, that they are building something, they are going to buy more and whatever, the people of Strive, and again, hats off to Matt Cole, to Chef Walton, to all the people involved in the company, they are thinking innovative ways to buy Bitcoin. At the end of the day, it's good for Bitcoin holders and it's good for all the rest of the financial system.
Yeah, as I'm sharing here, I mean, they are like number 9 today, and we need to also remember that they start like relatively not so long ago, and they create this big balance sheet thanks also to Semler, and to be honest, they move very fast. They introduced some innovation even before strategy. For example, they already had the USD reserve in place for the dividend on SETA even before the strategy did. Now they go for daily, and strategy announced the bi-weekly. So in some sense, they are, they're smaller, so they can take maybe the decision making even faster. But they're very committed. So I think it's possible to see them climbing. To number two, I think it's, I don't want to say unlikely, but it's not easy because again, I also expect at some point 21 to start to do something. Metaplanet are pretty advanced on the preferred stock as well. The company BSTR from Adam Beck should soon also be able to operationally start doing their business. So I think for them, likely the top 5, maybe with Mara going maybe a bit lower, financing the AI pivoting. I think it's possible number 5 or maybe over the next 1-2 years. But go higher, I think it's not easy from where they start. They don't have they have 1 billion around of Bitcoin, 21 and Metaplanet, they have like 5-6 billion. So it's a different starting point, but I think they're gonna climb to top 5 is reasonable.
Yeah, because the number 5 is around, the number 5 is 25
around 30,000.
30,000. So it's gonna be just, they have to double. Do you think that Saylor is angry or jealous about that?
No.
Like Jack Mallers
Was one of the first to congratulate them.
That's what I wanted to point. Saylor was one of the first to congratulate Strive and the team, also Fong Lee. I think that inside Saylor now is getting challenged. Even though they are friends, but I think that they have a good, healthy competition. So now the good thing is that that's when someone smart, how do you act? You find someone who is doing things better than you, or one thing better than you, because a strategy is a strategy. There is no second best as to strategy. But let's say they make an innovation, and instead of hate them, what you're going to do is try, okay, how can I do it motivates me to make things better? So that's the healthy competition that all these companies have. And all of them understand that if one company goes good, all the rest of the companies do good.
On the number side, also, Shea Walton spent a little bit of time explaining that actually the effective yield is a little bit bigger than 13% with this system. Because now you're counting 252 days, which is at the business days. So when you do the math for that, it gives you something like 13.8 or something like that. Also think about that, like there are going to be a lot of incentives to build up arbitrage strategies.
Let me share it, Diego, because I think it's very interesting and many people don't really think about it. To be honest, me as well, I didn't thought deeply, but it's quite a difference to go from annual, okay, from monthly and to the daily. So here I think it's the summary. I think it's pretty compelling, yeah. So again, they were already in the monthly side, so the effective APY was already 13.8. To move to daily is 8 basis points, so it's not an amazing upgrade. But from annual to daily or to quarterly, that majority of company pays to daily, it's quite a remarkable increase. Just for it's the same obligation for the company, same burden, but from the final user, you have this tiny compounding effect that is better. So I think it's an innovation, it's an interesting one, and so yeah, hats off for a Stripe team to be so quickly to deliver this.
Also think about what the whole situation, how the whole situation actually developed. Saylor came out with this new preferred stock strategy, developed from the ground up.
Mm-hmm.
They launched it. They thought, well, monthly dividends make sense, perpetual, all these features. let the market decide if it is good or not. The market say it's the best. So they fulfill the expectations with the inflows of capital. Then this open up new opportunities. Now, what they didn't know before is that there will be some part of this capital that is speculative and goes in and out as a sniper in one day. But you cannot think about that before building the first iteration of the product. So the whole thing, it becomes an iteration process where Sailor come up with this observation. Now they realize, well, even though we reduce the volatility across the 30 days is concentrated around 15. Because what? Oh, because now we create a new opportunity in the market to arbitrage it with other systems. So now the next phase of the iteration is how can we even reduce the volatility further? Well, just split it in two. Put it twice a month, then you will reduce the volatility, and then you also will increase by 2 times the opportunities for someone in the market to make money through this. Third iteration comes SATA and say, let's do it every day. So now think about what is going to happen that we still don't know it will happen. What will happen when we have instruments that pay dividends daily, and how many new arbitrage opportunities are going to be created, not only between SATA and the dividend itself, but maybe eventually someone will discover that there will be an arbitrage between the dividend of SATA and the dividend of Stretch.
Possible, yeah.
For sure, something like that is going to happen, and it will motivate a fourth iteration of the product. And that's how we usually move forward in technology. It's the only way to do it.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think Sailor and Strategy, considering they have like massive, already almost 10 billion in Stretch, and I don't know how many beneficiaries. For them, they say, okay, let's move from monthly to bi-monthly, because I think with this move, they will remove majority of the volatility on the ex-dividend date, and the volatility on Stretch will compress almost to non-existent, because the capital base is already much bigger than SATA, and they won't have so much operational headache to process everything, to move from monthly to bi-monthly. But again, if they see that it's not enough, they can go weekly. They don't have to go daily. They can go weekly, because again, they are much bigger. And if they see that the volatility is going to be removed or almost removed, I think they can finally be satisfied with the weekly. Again, SATA go daily. That's amazing. But for them, the priority is to remove the volatility. If the volatility is going to be completely erased at the weekly, for me, it's fine, and I think they won't go for the headache to go on the daily, because I think operationally it's much more complicated to pay out every single business day. So if they can reach the target of reducing volatility with just the bi-monthly or weekly, I think they're gonna stop there.
Probably, I don't know how is the process, obviously, internally, but I guess at some point there will be a way to automate all of this. I don't think there will be a person putting every SWIFT code of the transaction of every person to send a wire every day. It's going to be some kind of automated process. The same way, Sailor the other day explained another part that it wasn't disclosed before, or at least I didn't know before exactly how it works. What is the difference between the way they buy Bitcoin through the shares emission from STR compared to the shares emission through Stretch? There is a substantial difference, because it came from the question that Sailor apparently is buying a higher average price every Monday to what the price was the previous week. So everybody complains why he doesn't wait a couple of days so the price go down and they buy. So he's playing that process, why that happened. So the way it goes is, in first place, it's not that he's selling shares of MSTR for fiat, and then with the fiat buying Bitcoin. It's just a swap between MSTR shares and Bitcoin. That's one thing. The other thing is that this is done at strategic point during the day when the price of MSTR is going higher. So if Bitcoin in the day grows 1% and MSTR goes going up 3%, they actually do the swap at this point. This is exactly when the price of Bitcoin is also higher. So that explains why it looks like through MSTR, they are buying higher. And why they do that is because when they do it at that right time, the MNAV is also expanding by a little bit more. So if the basic MNAV is 128, but in that day, Bitcoin had a little rip-off, also MSTR, then the MNAV expand a little bit further, giving them more Bitcoin gain. So then at the end of the day, it's more accretive, better for the shareholder buying when the price of Bitcoin is higher during the week. On the other hand, a stretch is totally different. For the stretch accumulation, is every time stretch goes above par, there is an algorithm that just immediately hedge. So the amount of shares sold through stretch. So stretch is immediately hedged. The price acquisition through stretch will be always better in terms of how low it is because they have to hedge it minute by minute. So that mechanism, I think it wasn't explained when someone else will complain because why Sailor bought last week at 81K, probably.
Yes.
He probably bought at 81K when the price is going to be open on Monday at 78.
Yeah, that's the point. And another thing that I want to mention with that is for all these suckers or morons that says that Strive, Strategy are not offering any product. These are the products and they are showing you the process of creating a product. So they launch the first iteration, the public reacts in some way, they do another iteration, the public reacts in another way. It's the same as, I don't know, if I cook some food and I sell 1 week and I get the feedback from my clients. Don't you put more pepper? Okay, I will put pepper. The next week, probably I get more clients. So that's the way that they create a product. These are the stupids that say that they don't have a product. This is the product, and they are iterating to create a better product for the market to generate a win-win situation for everyone. For them, of course, because they will be able to raise more money, buy more Bitcoin, and for the people, because they will receive more money in dividend, more than the bank pays, and more often. So this is amazing.
Yeah, guys, 100%. Yeah.
So anything else you want to touch about this, or we can move to the next topic?
I think we can move to the next one.
Well, the next one is, again, we will talk about a little bit about Stretch, that on Thursday, after a couple of weeks without so much move, it woke up on Friday. Yesterday was Friday 8. It woke up, got a few hours on par, so they could raise money. But this week we saw that the volume was increasing until Thursday. The volume touched ATM, all the high. The volume on Thursday was the highest in history for Stretch and allowed Sailor to, I don't know, 24,000 Bitcoin or something like that to buy this week.
Probably 25.
So what do you think about that? And what do you think? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this number is insane because if it's, I monitor was the whole day above 100. The total volume was 1.5 billion, I think.
Almost 1.
Almost 1.6. If we concede everything was above 100 from start to finish, if they can convert around 30%, 35%, depending on the usual dynamics, I think they still have amplification to go fully on accumulation mode. Yeah, the number will be insane. So for sure, more than 15,000, maybe 20,000 on a single day. It's unbelievable. And the critics will say, Bitcoin now is 78. He bought almost everything at 81. It's stupid. We know that these headlines will Yeah, we will be on X. It's we know that, but I think it's incredible. And I would say that they can now use stretch also to retire the convertibles that they have on the balance sheet that create hedging, that create pressure, and they want to remove them all. And I think with stretch is the most accretive way to do it. So I think they have a lot of lever, a lot of optionality, and I think 2026 they will try to reduce the debt on the balance sheet, clean even more, and then be ready for be the full amplification possible coming on the next year.
Yeah, talking about that, also they announced, well, this week they announced a buy of, it's incredible, right? Because this week, Strategy announced another buy of Bitcoin with after 1 week not announcing, and they announced 535. And for us was, they bought so few. That's what Strategy has accustomed to us, right? To say, okay, we bought 500 Bitcoin. It's shit. It's pocket money.
Shit,
When
yes.
the other companies, that's my comparison. With the other companies, they announce, I don't know, this week we bought 3 Bitcoin. A Smarter Web company this week announced 2 purchases, 25 Bitcoin and 10 Bitcoin. And it's huge for them. And congratulations to Andrew and all his team. But check how big is Strategy. That they announced a huge amount, probably the same amount of Bitcoin that all the other companies bought in the month
Combined. Yeah.
on 1
Yeah.
week. And for us, it's nothing.
The question will be on Monday if they actually start with this strategy of buying back the convertible bonds or not, because they might say instead of buying 20, 25K Bitcoin this week, we can literally remove a big chunk of the debt with just 1 week of issuing of a stretch. And then they have, I think, 3 or 4 more convertible bonds. I don't remember the size. I don't know if Marco, you have.
Yeah, I will share it, Diego, so you will see. Wait.
Plus the debt that they will erase, they will save by erasing now 120 million US dollars. So it's a good move. So what is?
I think what people don't understand is that they have so many optionality, and for them it's like a continuous arbitrage on everything. If they see that something is getting cheaper, they can just raise capital and take this arbitrage. If they see that the MNAV is expanding, they can decide to sell more MSTI. I mean, they have now so many possible outcome, and every single day they optimize and they try to reduce the arbitrage and to convert the arbitrage into more power in the balance sheet. So I think is a unique only strategy has so many optionalities, and literally every single day or every single hour they can say, okay, there is 10 bips here, I want to convert and to eat them. There is something here, I just want to convert and put out the arbitrage, put out the convertible bond trader, because now it's on my side. I can, as you said, 120 million in discount. So why leaving on the table? If they can have 2.2 billion of tax benefit during 2026, they can just sell some Bitcoin and buy it back 1 hour later, and they can monetize and capitalize on this tax benefit. So they don't operate like us. they are like a big publicly listed company. They have so many more optionalities and so many benefits that they have as a publicly listed company. And it will be stupid not to take advantage of them, because ultimately, if you don't take advantage of those, you don't benefit the shareholder. So again, there is sometimes this conflict, but for me, it's a positive conflict, because they run a company and they just not operate as me or you guys. So I think it's normal.
And don't lose the focus on what is the goal here. The goal is obviously to grow MSTR as big as possible, as soon as possible. That's what Saylor said. So in the process of doing that, you have all these optionalities now, where you can even take these internal arbitrage advantages at any point And there is not only one gun that you can use for that. For Monday, maybe you can use a revolver. For Tuesday, you can use a carabiner.
AK-47.
Every day of the week, depending on market conditions, you can use a different weapon.
And on the other day, you can use a bazooka to destroy everything. So, and another thing is that I think that this is the main goal that was discussed during the earnings call was to grow the Satoshis per share and boost the price of strategy of the MSTR. So here we see that they are cleaning all the convertibles in order to, in the future, of course, in the future, probably in 2029, the stock price is going to be much higher of 600 something. So probably these people will opt, instead of getting money, getting shares. So it's a way of cleaning the balance sheet to keep rising the Bitcoin per share without any dilution on the stock of the company.
Yeah,
Also,
I think
increasing the rating of the company is important,
course,
right?
that's the point.
When you are reducing the balance sheet, at the end of the day, it's also to put them in a category where at some point they can be qualified as a type of rating.
Yeah, and following Sailor, I think they want to clear the convertible debt over the next months. Maybe by the end of 2026, I'm pretty sure that Converse 2029, which is the one displayed here, with the highest conversion price, they're gonna repurchase everything of it. And maybe if they have more room, maybe also the 2030B, because it's with the highest conversion price, and maybe can just leave the other one, because if the price goes higher than 230, is already considered as equity, so they don't create hedging pressure or any particular strange dynamics on the price. But I'm pretty sure that Converse 2029 and 2030B, they're gonna somehow retire over the next 6 months, 9 months, which would make sense.
A good point. Yeah, a good point that you point out there, I had forgotten, is that each of these instruments are not isolated investment for the people who invest on them. They are arbitrages. So all of the people who bought this, they are hedging it, and the hedging in some of these cases means shorting the common stock MSTR. So when they get rid of this, they will get rid of the shorts also.
Yeah, because it's like at that point, using these instruments is like buying call options without the risk of losing, because at the end of the day, you're getting back the money if the stock price is not at the price of conversion. So I think that is a good move to sell this. And as Diego said before, now with all the accumulation that they have been doing for 5 years, so that is why it's stupid for the people who are attached to the old ways or the normal ways of doing accountability of a company. They don't understand this. They've been accumulating for all these years since 2020. Now they have a lot of weapons to act every week. So if in 1 week they want to, first of all, they have 1.5 years of dividends of stretch pay. 1 week they can use this money to pay dividend. The other week they can raise money on stretch, and they can say, okay, we can buy more Bitcoin, or we can clear debt. The other week, they can say, okay, we can sell a tiny amount of Bitcoin that is not going to affect the Bitcoin per share or the price of Bitcoin or our stock, and remove debt, pay dividends, use this to get tax advantages. So they have a lot of weapons now to act. So the people who say that Sailor is, there was an accountant talking the other day in a Spanish podcast saying that you have to buy Bitcoin with cash, not with debt. These people don't understand how things work, how companies work.
How to fight the argument of the problem is strategy getting too much Bitcoin.
Well, this is the stupid argument. I'm talking like people who say, okay, they point reasonable warnings, not even reasonable, but say, oh, they are accumulating debt. and they are buying Bitcoin and they think that Bitcoin is going to go up. First of all, they don't, if you are a Bitcoin maximalist and you don't think that Bitcoin is going to go up forever, what the fuck are you doing? You should go and buy gold. That probably these people buys gold. They talk about that they are Bitcoin maximalists and they buy gold. So if you are Bitcoin maximalist and you think that Bitcoin is not going to go up forever, so you are in the wrong place, guy. So it's like, no way. It's like going to Napoli and eat Hawaiian pizza, a pineapple pizza. You're going to be killed. So anyway, on the other side is these people who say, Saylor has a lot of Bitcoin. He must not raise too much Bitcoin. It's a danger for one person or one company to collect so many Bitcoin. Why? I don't understand.
Also, the relative thinking, right? Because if we think Saylor strategy have too much Bitcoin and they can affect the market, this is one of the arguments also. What happens if Saylor starts selling? Do you think the price of Bitcoin is going down?
Of course, it's going to go, if they sell a huge amount of Bitcoin, price is going to go down.
Define a huge amount.
All of the Bitcoin, the extreme.
Exactly.
Case.
So that's not going to happen. It's an after coming to Earth. Yes. When? In 300 million years. So the point is, be realistic on the amount of Bitcoin that Saylor have access to buy. At this point, it's somewhere around 20 to 50K Bitcoin on a bull run per month. That amount doesn't move the needle on the market because, as explained many times, the trading volume on Bitcoin is around 50 billion per day. So if you are raising 1 billion, which sounds like a lot of money per day to buy Bitcoin, the price of Bitcoin doesn't even flinch.
Yes.
Doesn't give a shit. Same on the way down. If seller decide to sell 1 billion Bitcoin, it will not affect the price.
Yes.
Other than if it is some kind of algorithmic trading based on Saylor tweets that activates billions and billions of trading volume on top of that, which is what happened with the market. For example, what happened on Friday, right? The market opened on Friday on an excellent week for the whole market. Suddenly, the algos go crazy. Nasdaq, when S&P down 1-2%, Bitcoin also gets dragged down at the same level. So just realize how much money that's needed to do that crash in so little amount of time. So it doesn't matter if Saylor even buys 1 billion in 1 minute, it will not move Bitcoin price.
And sorry, because I forgot to add more to the thing that I was talking about. Yeah, if you're a Bitcoin maximalist, you think that Bitcoin is going up forever. This is, and if you don't think that Bitcoin is going up forever,
thesis,
sell your Bitcoin and go away. But not only Saylor thinks, or we think that Bitcoin is going up forever. Mathematics show Saylor is offering the debt. They are getting debt, or no, they are not getting, but with mathematics, the price of Bitcoin follows the power law with probabilities. So that's simple. Jeff Walton the other day was explaining to Coffeezilla, they run mathematics, they run Monte Carlo simulation, thousands of different scenarios. There's not that they wake up one day and say, no, I'm super bullish on Bitcoin. Let's go. No, they are bullish on Bitcoin because they have conviction in Bitcoin, the same conviction that we have in Bitcoin, plus they run simulations. And they explain the only problem of these companies is if Bitcoin goes down between 80 and 90% and stays there flat for 10 years. If this happens, I am sure that is because some
catastrophe
event on the earth, like the volcanoes going crazy, an asteroid hitting the earth, aliens walking around the earth. So it's stupid. I don't know why these people even speaks. I don't know.
I think I know, because before you said, Fernando, that you had a lot of, also in the Spanish community, people creating FUD again around strategy. It happens for me as well this week on the Italian side. like two prominent people, one Bitcoiner, another one a shitcoiner, but still pretty, known in the Italian communities. They both publish like an article, videos, like 24-hour distance about how Sailor is creating this house of cards, how Sailor is, using this extra leverage, blah, 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 like the idiotic comments of people that they don't even check on how strategy is actually built. But I think, it's a coordinated kind of fad because it gains traction, it gains clicks. And I think people just want to monetize as much as possible on everything nowadays. So if you have something that can be controversial, just take the opposite side. And even people that hates you read what you write, comments, engage with you. And so you have much more visibility. So I think, CoffeeZilla is the perfect example. He has a big channel. He's completely, superficial and low IQ on this topic, and still wanted to debate with Jeff that has, 200 spreadsheet with all possible data. And this guy just went and said, my opinion is that you go bankrupt. Yeah, but based on what?
And
I have 200 spreadsheet of, 50 megabytes of data. And you just say, because you wake up this morning, based on what? Show me. So you see that the difference is so big.
And in all the video, every time that CoffeeZilla give his opinion, he say, I think. He doesn't have any data. In the Italian community, what is bigger? The Sailor is going to go bankrupt. The problem is that he's buying Bitcoin using debt, or the problem is he's buying a lot of Bitcoin. It's bad from one person to collect so huge amount of Bitcoin. Because in the Spanish community, the biggest critic is this: Sailor is accumulating a lot of Bitcoin. Now they are talking about the debt, because I think that the Spanish community don't even understand how the financial world works. So they don't even understand the debt and all the obligation and the thing. So the big problem is that Sailor is accumulating a lot of Bitcoin. What is the problem in the Italian community?
Yeah, I think, not many people talk about strategy in general. That's what my overall take. But when they do, it's mainly to criticize or mainly to point out that something is going to collapse. It's Ponzi-esque, is similar to it's not a Ponzi, it's not illegal, blah, 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 but they always try to put some shade on it. And they complain, about the over leverage, which for me it's so stupid because it's equity, it's capital, is quite the opposite, to be honest. So if again in 2026 you go out with this kind of argument of 2022 bear market, it's 4 years after, guys. So update your mental framework, study it a bit more, and maybe try just to ask useful question, because or even better, don't speak about it if you don't understand something.
That's what I say.
Not possible. So don't speak about something that you don't know. Easy.
There are two angles of this attack. One is the cyberpunk cara tapada angle,
cover face,
where these guys, where they say, the problem is Sailor is accumulating too much Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is for the plebs, and la la la. The other argument, and the other argument is the accounting argument. Is this they bring these accountants from the TradFi model, and this is usually the cyberpunks bring the accountants, now their friends, to explain why strategy is a house of cards, and why it's going to collapse under the accounting view.
The other day, I made a poll in our YouTube in Spanish, and I said, Sailor haters, they are seeing something that we cannot see. They have ego problems. They don't understand, and they haven't studied enough, or their parents are cousins. What do you think about that?
I think that the second one is funny. I think I agree, because again, Sailor came from this, it was already a publicly listed company. He's a guy above 60 years old, maybe 55 when he started the pivoting strategy into a Bitcoin powerhouse. And a lot of the younger guys that want to have this kind of revolution, and they want to have their own face connected to Bitcoin. Now they see that they are completely almost irrelevant to the size and the figure of Sailor. And again, for me, we need more people. We need more people like Sailor. We need more people like creating their own brand supporting Bitcoin. Only Sailor is not enough. We need more. But instead of joining the race, they try to put shade on him just because they realize that they are irrelevant compared to strategy and to Sailor. So I think again, people will at some point they will realize that strategy is a unique company, but maybe we need to go to the trillion club to understand. And for majority of people, would be kind of late because you could have joined at 25 billion, and you could have made, I don't know, 40x. And still at 1 trillion, people will complain because still people complain on Tesla, saying that is a super overvalued company, that Elon Musk is crazy, that there is no value, blah, 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 because they sell car. They do everything, and the car is just, just a one product. But for strategy will be the same. We will go to 1 trillion and still people say this is a Ponzi, this is going to collapse. So
For these people have
they are
fun staying
hopeless.
cool.
They are hopeless.
Yeah, and we have to create the T-shirt "I told you so," but something with the strategy.
I told you so many times. So
that's why I think. But yeah, I think that there is a huge. The point is that is a lot of people calling it a scam in the American community, in the English-speaking community, that they are they are more educated, financially speaking. In the Spanish communities, like I understand that nobody understands even how a company works. Like I'm not trying to these people who are the top voices in the Spanish Bitcoin community. They don't even understand how a company, how a 7-Eleven operates. So I can understand that they don't understand strategy. And they bring these people that they speak, the OG accountant people that, dude, your job now is useless. We can do more with ChatGPT, with the accountant. So that's the thing. And we need to fight against that. And again, we need to make people understand that it's not that Sailor has conviction on Bitcoin. Yes, he has a lot of conviction with Bitcoin, but he also backed the conviction. All these companies back their conviction on Bitcoin with numbers. So that's the point.
It's not just speaking, right? Every single thing they do, it's back up with actions, which is the other missing part from companies like 21, where it's a lot of talking and no action.
yeah,
So,
not delivery.
look what Strike can do with a small team. When you have a small team of people with conviction and decided to take action next week, not next month. Don't wait until Sailor launch their own version and see how it works. Just take the next step. In that process, you're aware that you can fail. Obviously, they are going to fail at some point with something, and they will go to the next iteration. That's the process, taking action and not waiting on words on what to do next year.
And the nice thing that I saw from Chef Walton, when he put, it all started with a podcast in a basement. So that is amazing. That is the power of Bitcoin. I always mention Andrew Webley because he was running a profitable family business. He's a Bitcoiner. He started accepting payments in Bitcoin. And after that, he discovered a loophole in a secondary low liquidity market in the UK. He listed his company. He brought all the liquidity to that market. 1 year after, his company was in the London Stock Exchange, one of the oldest stock exchange of the world and the biggest. So that is the power of Bitcoin.
And don't forget that all of this is happening during 6 months of one of the biggest bear markets that we have experienced. Not the biggest, but one of the biggest. It was really a tough one. And still these companies managed to not only survive, but new ways to thrive.
Yeah, that's the magic. And that's why we support everything. I always say the same. Every person who is in Bitcoin and he is working for making Bitcoin massive, mainstream, and growing the market cap and working towards the hyper Bitcoinization, I will support everyone with the conviction, with the action, and everything. So for me, it's amazing that Strive is doing that and all the things that are happening. We are super bullish, and I think that everything price is going to follow sooner or later. And all these stupids that they are criticizing because they didn't even listen one podcast of Sailor speaking, they will get their faces melted for sure.
Yeah, and maybe guys, just to close also on Bitcoin itself, if it's true that the bear market was over, which by the day I would say that the probability is higher. I mean, this time was just a 52% drawdown, and for us that we are in Bitcoin for like almost a decade, you see that. I mean, maybe you guys even more than me, but let's say for a long period of time, you see that normally Bitcoin had minus 94, minus 87, minus 84, minus 77. If it's true that we only for traditional finance, 50% drawdown is like an Armageddon. For us, is like let's say something pretty okay. If it's just 52% drawdown, I think we need to thank Sailor mainly to create the preferred offering, to create this juggernaut company, to orange peel many other CEO, CFO, and change how Wall Street, change how banking system, changing how politicians basically in America thinks about it and embrace it. So if it's true, again, Bitcoin doing a drawdown of 52%, I think is an incredible upgrade, an incredible milestone, and moving forward will be much easier to digest the volatility. So let's see, but the possibilities are pretty high that the 52% drawdown was the max pain.
Yeah, I always say that there will go in the Bitcoin history, there will be a before and after Sailor, for sure. When we study in the future the history of how Bitcoin become the backbone of the new financial system that will take humanity to the golden millenniums, Sailor is going to be an actor that must be studied. The guy with the conviction who went with all the odds against him, he went and he put Bitcoin mainstream. Because without Sailor, I always repeat, without Sailor, we probably wouldn't have Cynthia Loomis. We wouldn't have ETF. We wouldn't have governments discussing about Bitcoin, companies buying Bitcoin, and the market cap going up, up, up. So all these people who have their ego on the moon just recognize a guy that is working for us. So, and don't complain about him. I was telling Diego yesterday, it's like, if you are angry with Sailor, it's like if you are a player of the Argentinian national team, probably the second goalkeeper, not the main one, and you complain because Messi got the cup and they put the cup, this cover that they put and say, oh fuck, why he's getting that? Dude, thanks to him, you're world champion. So you contributed, of course, but he made a difference. So that's what's happening with Sailor. We need to understand that.
I'd say also a phase transition between generations. It was pretty clear that the first 10 years until 2020, it was dominated unnecessary to be done through this group of people, the cyberpunks, the
libertarians, the Austrian economic funds. So, yeah.
But at some point, things start to transition into the new phase for scaling up, and that is Sailor. Now, I'm not saying that the Sailor is going to be the last milestone. It's probably going to be a new leader, let's call it, or a new person that propose some other kind of development on Bitcoin that brings Bitcoin even higher. Maybe it brings Bitcoin to government level. Maybe it brings Bitcoin to a level so superior to gold market cap that now we have to thank this new generation. I'm imagining the future, right? This new generation, because they do something transition into something else. So we're not going to get married to Sailor all the way because he did that. Us, the cyberpunks are married to this idea of Bitcoin as payment method only. Anything else is a blasphemy.
And
At the end of the day, these guys are just mercenaries of Bitcoin, and it's been proven over and over again that they didn't want the hyper-Bitcoinization. They just wanted to
keep their status.
use Bitcoin as a way of living, because with this methodology, they can also have their own businesses. Now they sell courses on how to use a Trezor wallet, for example, and have the community where they get paid maybe to go to conference or things like that.
I think that is the biggest part is their ego. And again, with all of this that we are saying is that we still believe that the only way to have Bitcoin is holding your own keys, having it in self-custody. If you have strategy shares, if you have Stretch, if you have Strive, or if you have an ETF, you don't have Bitcoin. If you have Bitcoin inside a Coinbase or Binance or any exchange, you don't have Bitcoin. In the future, if banks can custody Bitcoin, you are not going to have Bitcoin. The only way to hold Bitcoin is by having your own keys, do your own research, protect your Bitcoin. But on the other side, we have to understand that probably 95 or 90% of the world population, they don't want to hold Bitcoin. They don't want to hold their keys. They don't give a crap about financial the freedom or the sovereignty on all the ideas that these cyberpunks preach. That I feel that these ideas are amazing, but they are not going to convince all the rest of the people. How we are going to convince all the rest of the people? But saying your mom, why you put the money in your bank while you can put the money in this instrument that gives you money every day instead of losing money that the banks have? So that way we say, okay, I will put money on this. And they don't give a crap if after behind that is Bitcoin or whatever.
They don't
So
give a
that
crap
is the
yet.
way. Sorry?
They don't give a crap yet in the majority of Western world because the society is still functioning, but they will. They will.
I don't think so. I don't think that we are gonna. Of course, in the past, I was a person that I think that we have to fight for the hyper-Bitcoinization. We have to fight for become 95% of 100% of the world Bitcoiners. We are not gonna. This is not gonna happen, Marco. I think
No. I agree. I'm just saying that people in the Western society, they will realize the problem that we highlighted, that the money in the bank is not your money, and it's not even money. And they will realize that society is going to face turbulent times, and they need to start to educate themselves on financial education that they don't have. And that will be inevitable. So, but I agree that to have 99% of people using Bitcoin is maybe not even in 100 years is possible. So
that's the thing. What is more easy is to convince a person to buy Strive, to buy Stretch, or to buy SATA, or to buy the bonds that the prefer of Smarter Web Company, of Capital B, or MetaPlanet, because it's or probably convince someone to buy an ETF of Bitcoin. So that's the way that we make Bitcoin reach 8 billion people in the world, not by paying the 7-Eleven with Bitcoin. And this is the battle we are fighting every single day.
Someone in the Spanish podcast the other day in the comments, they point out something that is reality and is comparable to what happened with Bitcoin, which is the use of the internet, or even sending emails. In the 80s, it was a thing only for developers. Nobody even know what an email is. There was a selected group of people working on technical stuff that they know how to send an email. There was a lot of technicalities involved in doing so, and a lot of infrastructure you need to have to do that. Eventually, that was not the way to grow, to tell everybody, get a server, learn how to do the internet coding, and learn what is the protocol for delivering emails. The way to do it is there was a company like Yahoo, Netscape, Google, and so on that create the product simple to use for the pleb to just click a button, send an email. That's it. Nobody needs to know the technicalities behind.
Yeah.
So the same is going to happen with Bitcoin. That's why I think it's ridiculous in 2026 keep pushing on people learning what is the best treasure wallet, what is the best cold wallet.
No,
Because it's not needed. The people who consider that important, we are only 5% max of people in the world who care about that.
Probably
And,
even less.
or even less. And then what's going to happen with the other 95% of the people? We need to give them different kind of instrument that still use Bitcoin in the back end,
Yeah.
but give them access in a way that they can just click button.
The thing is that let me disagree with one simple thing. I think that it's still important to teach how to use a Trezor wallet or a hardware wallet, but this must not be the way of orange peeling, the landing page for Bitcoin.
Or
Because
the only
if
way.
you're trying to convince a person that to use Bitcoin, you need to do a lot of things, they will say, no problem. The landing page will need to be, we must provide people who don't want to use Bitcoin, instruments that use Bitcoin without them even understanding. It's the same. Nobody here knows how to develop
It's even more complex than that. You don't even need to use the word Bitcoin because when you use the word Bitcoin in a normie, the only thing they remember is some kind of scam happened in the past, or the North Korean hacks, or someone used it to sell pornography. That's the only thing that they remember. So my approach would be, don't even mention
Of
Bitcoin.
course, that's the thing.
You give them an ETF that promise, or a preferred stock that promise 11% return. They don't even know if it is powered by Bitcoin or whatever. That's how you install a Trojan horse in the system.
Tell your mom, your bank is not paying money. You can put this money here and you get paid 13% annually in a daily basis. So what is it's super simple. You don't have to do any extra explanation. So that's the way that we have to do the hyper-virtualization. But yeah, we need to fight for that every day, and we need to keep supporting all the companies that help us in the way to get the hyper-virtualization. So anything else, Marco, you want to discuss? You wanted to discuss something related to the
Yeah, I don't know if we are above the hour, but yeah, maybe we can close very quickly with let me share it. It was my, kind of short thinking about sometimes when you, especially when you lobby against something, you think to have a victory, but then the victory can result into a net loss. And I think the Clarity Act, if it's true that the banking system will win, imposing by law that stablecoin issuer cannot give any yield, I think for the short term can be classified as a short-term victory for banks. But ultimately, what will happen is that they will create, in my view, momentum even more for Stretch and similar product of Stretch, and create ultimately much more momentum on Bitcoin. And in just maybe 1-2 years, they will realize that it was much better to give a 3% yield on a stablecoin because they can fight a 3-4% yield on a stablecoin. What they cannot fight is a 12% yield or 11% yield based on Bitcoin, because they need to vertically change their own balance sheet and they need to go fully into Bitcoin to compare with Stretch or something similar. So I think on one side, they are very celebrating the fact that Tether and Circle cannot give a native yield. But ultimately, I think Stretch will grow much faster, will grow much bigger. Other iteration on Stretch will be built very quickly, and the bank will find themselves without this tool, and the money will literally flow very quickly into Bitcoin-based instruments. So I think it's a short-sighted victory, but not very good for the banking lobby over the longer term.
I don't even thought that the yield discussion on a stablecoin was important at all. I think for me, from my observation, the Clarity Act, it's important to normalize crypto inside the banking system. That's the first Trojan horse. Then the functionalities, if you want to create the DeFi product on top of it, it will happen eventually later. You don't even need, I don't know how this operate, but if the first push was to let's get stablecoins with the yield inside, it wasn't even necessary. Just
Yeah, I
let
think
them.
the biggest point of controversy was around the stablecoin. That's why Coinbase blocked the first draft. Then they came back. They needed to change it, but still, I don't think will be an easy win for the stablecoin issuers. But again, the whole point I think is this one: the banking system didn't want the native yield because they are afraid the capital will move outside. But I think if you impose by law something like this, the capital will move even faster to different instruments backed by Bitcoin. And I think ultimately it's a big win for Bitcoiners, and for product built upon Bitcoin, and strategy is the best position. So
I think that the biggest win of that would be that the stablecoins run the rails of the financial TradFi system that will eventually replace the SWIFT code to transferring money. That we eventually replace the system that currently Visa and MasterCard are using to transfer money for payments. That would prove to be a win-win situation for both, for the TradFi banking system and for all the peripheral operators on the banking system, and also for the crypto companies that are involved in this. Then the yield thing, I don't even think this is necessary. They will be able to do it some other way eventually. And as you mentioned, yeah, all the products like Stretch or SATA will take over the thing.
yeah, makes sense.